Hello and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech idea. Today we will be taking a look at a commander from my favorite Universes Beyond set. Stay tuned as we talk about Imotekh the Stormlord.
But before we jump into today's video, I want to make a shout out for Mythatom. Check out their high quality Magic the Gathering and other fantasy products via the link in the notes below and use my discount code LATSEL for 10% off your order.
Imotekh is a mono-black artifact commander that cares about artifact cards leaving your graveyard. This counts for artifacts in general, but mostly we'll be working with artifact creatures in this type of deck. Furthermore, he has another triggered ability, because at the beginning of combat you anthem up one of your creatures. We mostly care about his first triggered ability to create a huge army of Necrons and then overwhelm our opponents with them. As we are a monocolored deck and a few of our cards are quite expensive, we want to ramp in the early game. As we are an artifact heavy focused deck, we play a bunch of discounters to discount those type of spells. First up, we play Foundry Inspector to discount all of our artifacts. He also discounts all of our artifact creatures, which is a nice synergy. Next, we go with Joyros Familiar, who discounts all of our historic spells. This also include legends, which aren't artifacts. One of our best discounters is Jet Medallion, a cheap artifact that simply discounts all of our black spells. When it comes to a mana advantage, we play Scepter of Eternal Glory, a really powerful mana rock that came with the same precon. Because as soon as we have 3 lands with the same name, this artifact taps for 3 mana of any one color. As we still want to discount and benefit from another really powerful effect, we play the Darkness Crystal from Final Fantasy. This artifact really has proven itself to be a really strong discounter, simply because as soon as a non-token creature of our opponents dies, it gets exiled and we also gain 2 life, which is great to stabilize our life total. Furthermore, we are in black, so we play a bunch of removal, which synergizes nicely with the Darkness Crystal. And last but not least, probably the best discounting artifact in this deck is Cloud Key. Not only because it is really flexible, but also because it is an artifact and not a creature, which makes it harder for your opponents to interact with it. As we do want to loop artifact cards in our graveyard to get as many triggers as possible from Imotekh, we play a few of the following cards. We play Scrap Trawler, probably the best recursion artifact creature that we play in this deck, simply because with this one we can loop artifacts over and over again. A card that can recur itself to our hand is Clay Revenant. We play a few others of these type of effects in our deck, and as they are artifact creatures, as soon as we activate them, we will also get a trigger from Imotekh. If we want to sacrifice a powerful artifact creature on our board, we play Cryptek. With its activated ability, we bring that artifact creature directly back to our battlefield, but it will still leave our graveyard, as it is there for a few seconds, and so with this activated ability we can get another trigger out of Imotekh. Another great artifact for this synergy is Nim Deathmantle. It will just sit on the battlefield for quite a while, and as soon as something on our board dies and we still have mana to spare, we will use it for its triggered ability to bring that creature back to our battlefield. One of my favorite cards in this deck is Skeleton Shard. This artifact is great for us simply because for 1 mana we can bring a card back from our graveyard to our hand, and with that artifact creature will leave our graveyard, which will trigger Imotekh again. Let's quickly talk about a few sacrifice outlets that we can use. One of the most powerful recently printed artifact sacrifice outlets is Umbral Collar Zealot. This card lets us either sacrifice a creature or an artifact to Surveil 1, which is a great synergy for this deck, simply because we want to do a bunch of things with our graveyard, and Surveil is simply stronger than Scry, which makes this card an absolute auto-include in this deck. We will use our Necron warriors to overwhelm our opponents, but as soon as we have attacked with them, we can also sacrifice them into Ashnod's Altar to generate even more mana. And when it comes to artifact loop decks, we of course have to play KCI. Maybe a few of you are familiar with this combo either in Commander decks or back from the days when it was played in Modern. And if you're familiar with that time, you know how strong this card is, especially in combination with cards like Junk Diver or also Mere Retriever, which you can also find in my list. Now let's quickly talk about a few additional Wincons. Of course we want to build an army of Necrons, but there are a few other cards that synergize nicely with what we want to do. Starting off with Wormcoil Engine. This powerful artifact creature has been around for a very long time, but still is really powerful. And as you have already seen from the deck videos so far, we want to loop a bunch of creatures and sacrifice them, which makes Wormcoil Engine a powerful additional creature for this deck. Next is Royal Warden. This creature will produce additional Necron tokens for us, And this is probably one of the cards that we want to take back to our hand from our graveyard with the Skeleton Shard. A really powerful creature that we want to flash in to get rid of a problem on board is Necron Deathmark. With its ETB trigger we want to get rid of a powerful creature, and then we also want to mill ourselves to find even more synergistic pieces for our strategy. One of my favorite Necron cards is Technomancer. This creature has a really powerful ETB trigger, which can allow us to generate a bunch of free extra value. A really powerful Anthem creature is Imotekh Lord. Giving all of our Necrons menace is extremely powerful, and we also take that +1/+0. Talking about even more free value, we play Unrakir, the Traveler. As soon as we get that attack trigger from Unrakir, we will be able to generate a bunch of extra value, simply because we can also cast artifact cards from our graveyard, and as we cast them, they will leave our graveyard, which will trigger Imotekh. And now let's talk about a few outstanding instant and sorceries that we play in this deck. First up is Lich Knight's Conquest. This powerful sorcery serves as a reanimation spell for our whole board, and we will sacrifice our Necron tokens into it, and beforehand we will sacrifice a bunch of our non-token creatures, which we will then reanimate. Talking about mass reanimation, we also play Living Death. If Imotekh is on the battlefield, he will see how a bunch of cards leave our graveyard, and so we will still get a trigger out of him. When it comes to card advantage, we play Monumental Corruption. This card synergizes nicely in artifact decks, and as we are a mono-black artifact deck, it fits perfectly into this deck. Let's play a one-sided board wipe. We play Their Name is Death. As we destroy all non-artifact creatures, we should clear the path for our army of Necrons to swing. Talking about getting rid of creatures and also triggering our commander, we play Will of the Abzan. This powerful sorcery really packs a punch in this deck, simply because we will make our opponents sacrifice their strongest creatures, and we will also bring back a creature from our graveyard, which will trigger Imotekh. Last but not least, we also play Virtue of Persistence. In the early game, we want to use Locthwain Scorn to get rid of a powerful creature of our opponents, and later on we want to hardcast Virtue of Persistence, and from then on in every of our upkeeps get another trigger out of it, which will also trigger Imotekh. And if you want to win even more games with this deck, you have to play Portal to Phyrexia. It kinda does a similar thing like Virtue of Persistence, but way stronger on impact. Simply because as soon as this one hits the battlefield, you can be sure that you will most likely wipe your opponent's board, and from then on you will profit in each of your upkeeps. When it comes to loop strategies, we definitely want to play Tortured Existence. This is an auto-include in this deck, and simply because of its wording and the way how this deck works, with every activation you will get an Imotekh trigger. And last but not least, a really powerful card that came with the same precon is Biotransference. Not necessarily because of its first line of text, but whenever you cast an artifact spell you will get another Necron. This enchantment can definitely accelerate your game plan, which is why I included it into this deck. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I will play in Imotekh the Stormlord. Let me know which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next. Make sure to check out my full deck list in the notes below, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.